Welcome to Atco, New Jersey. I'm Dave Grimm. We're coming to you today from the Atco Dragway and Raceway, just about 30 miles east of Philadelphia, for the NTPA Grand National Championship. It's a part of the Copenhagen-Skoal Pulling Series, and the top 10 in the super stock class are with us this afternoon for one of the most thrilling classes in NTPA competition. We've got 10 of the most high-performance tractors gathered anywhere in the country on this sandy clay track. We'll be right back with pull-off from Atco Speedway right after this important timeout. Nobody really knows when the sport of tractor pulling got started, but it's best to believe that it happened in the early 1940s in the heartland of the Midwest, when farm stock tractors decided to leave the fields and head for the county fair. Then it was dead weight pulling, where basically a stock tractor would hook on to a sled and pull weight that was used either by cement blocks or men stepping onto the pan. Well, those stock tractors transformed in what we call super stock. These are 9,000 pounds of steel, tires, and quadruple turbochargers that'll pump out nearly 2,000 horsepower into these big brutes. The super stocks have taken the country by storm, especially the farm community. When they pump out 250 pounds of manifold pressure and boost, they will take a bright sky and turn it into cloudy conditions like a rainstorm is coming. It's awesome. But also, the awesome horsepower has turned into the multi-engine modified. The 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and even 7 blown engines that we have today. It was back in the early 1970s that the modifieds were only one-engine tractors. And gentlemen like John Heilman and the Banner brothers in the early 1970s had one little 427 carbureted Chevrolet. It then went to a supercharged engine. From there, somebody said, why don't we add 2 engines? How about 3? By the time the fans had seen 3 blown Chevrolets in a chassis, the sport was launched. It was a horsepower war, and more was to come. The Banner brothers went to 5 blown Chevrolets, and the crowd liked it. Then a gentleman by the name of Art Arfons from Akron, Ohio, who had had a long history of motorsports tradition, decided to bring a turbine-powered tractor to the track. And with his 4,000 horsepower machine, it turned a lot of heads and opened up a lot of ideas about what the sport had in store. Nowadays, we see tractors with 6 and even 7 blown Chevrolets in them. Horsepower galore, 8, 10, and even 12,000 horsepower. What's the ultimate modified dragster tractor? Well, longtime NTPA puller Gardner Stone from Middlebury, Vermont, feels he's got the answer, and they're not internal combustion engines. We're talking turbine power. Not 1, 2, or 3, but 4 big, like homing turbines. Gardner says she'll pump out 12,000 horsepower. From the beginning, when it started out with 1 internal combustion engine, to the 7 that we have now in many of the tractors. And now the ultimate tractor, the 4 like homing turbines of Gardner Stone's General. The sport still has the unanswered question, will 12,000 horsepower be enough for the 1989 season? After 3 days of competition here at Atco, we've come down to the top 10 in our class. It'll be the 10 best super stockers in America battling out here this afternoon on this sandy clay track, 300 feet in length. We've got 6 internationals, a couple of ACs, and 1 Minneapolis Moline. Any one of them is worthy of winning the show here this afternoon. So let's now go to our first tractor this afternoon to the 9,000-pound super stock. Here comes Esden Lane from Dayton, Minnesota. Red Line Fever, a past national champion in several of the super stock classes in the NTPA Copenhagen-Skoal Pulling Circuit. Well, Esden is the test puller in this class, but he'll have the option of either taking that pull or dropping later on in the class. 10 of the finest super stock tractors here in the 9,000-pound class. Here comes Esden Lane from Dayton, Minnesota. The International 1486 Ford turbocharged machine. Boy, he builds boost. Esden Lane heading for the end of the track. He comes up a little short of the finish line, but a good #1 run for Esden Lane. Red Line Fever. Jerry Hart from Vandalia, Ohio, is a professional puller in the super stock class. This driver pulls an International 1066 Ford turbocharged machine. He calls it the Buckeye Born-Stormer, and certainly has the horsepower to take over Esden Lane's #1 distance of 286.6. Jerry Hart from near Dayton. You'll see the 2 stacks coming out of the tractor, signifying the Ford turbocharger system underneath the hood. So that's a tremendous amount of plumbing, as the drivers will say, of 200 to 250 pounds of manifold pressure. Watch these big 30.5-inch tires dig into the track now as he comes off the line. Gets very close to Esden Lane's 286.6, the Buckeye Born-Stormer. After 3 days of competition here at Atco, we've come down to the top 10 in our class. Here's Brett Berg out of Farmington, Minnesota with the Case Magnum. Not enough. It's a full pull for Brett Berg on Never Enough. A spectacular run as he came down the left-hand side of the track. Brett Berg lined that tractor up right along the boundary line, about 5 feet within the boundary line. He made a superb pull. The tractor was properly balanced here in the 9,000-pound class. Brett, you lined up the tractor on the left-hand side of the track, and it paid off for you.
Yeah, track looked a little drier there. We ran the tractor a little wider in front than normal and had a good run.
Alrighty, now, do you think the track is going to get better or get worse here this afternoon?
It should start not packing back together because it's going to get drier and it's going to make it tough for this fine dirt to get compacted.
So you're glad to have pulled early in the class?
We had our choice of where we wanted to pull today, and we pulled early. That was our choice.
Good luck at the final standing.
Thank you, Dave.
Rob Russell from Prescott, Iowa, backing up to the line with his big Case IH. The majority of the 10 tractors that we have in this class are International Harvester tractors. Our leader right now in the 9,000-pound super stock is Brett Berg with the first full pull in the class. Here's a tractor that can equal it. Rob Russell, he's a farmer from the great state of Iowa. Little trouble coming off the line, and he's got problems coming off the line. The engine is very hot. He was not able to get a hold of the track, and he might have blown a hose. We can see a lot of steam, smoke coming out from underneath the hood. Rob, you had a tough start off the line, and then something went wrong. What happened?
Yeah, Dave, my injection pump broke. It's the first trouble I've ever had with my injection pump. I've had it on it for 3 years. It's furnished to me by St. Joe Diesel out of St. Joe, Missouri, and they're real good people to work with. And if I take her home, let them take care of it.
Well, good luck down the road.
Thanks, Dave.
Here's Greg Peterson out of Waupun, Wisconsin with a Minneapolis-Moline G1000 Vista running on alcohol. The only alcohol-powered tractor here today. Boy, he is on it, turning the tires. He's headed for the end of the track. It's a full pull. He takes it out the back door faster than anybody, faster than Brett Berg. Brings the crowd to life here this afternoon. Super pull, and it's going to be a great matchup. Do you feel there'll be more full pulls here today?
Well, I think so. You got the best iron in the country, and this being a elimination type deal, why, you know, it's the top tractors anywhere in the world.
Here's Mark Gettinger out of Milton, Indiana with an Alice Chalmers D21. He calls it the equalizer. It was just a year ago that the engine of this tractor completely blew up, throwing the block right out of the chassis. He makes a fast start now. He's coming down the left-hand side of the track, having some handling problems. And he, too, takes it right out the back door. Well, the track that many thought might go to pot here, so to speak, at Atco now seems to be getting a little bit better, and they're building a road. Of course, you also have to remember that every one of the 10 tractors in this 9,000-pound super stock finals is a tractor that can win the class, so it's anybody's ball game. Now, the Brabeck brothers, Dennis and Allen, have been national champions many, many times in a lighter weight class, the 5,000 pounds. They built this 8050 Alice Chalmer, the only one like it in the country. And it's sort of a fooler. That's why they call it imposter. However, when things go right for the Brabeck brothers, they've got every bit as good a chance of making a full pull with everybody else. Having a little trouble coming off the line. He's not getting the bite in the track. Beginning to slow down. And he pushes in the clutch way short of the finish line, just past the 250-foot mark. 3 tractors to go in the finals here of the 9000 Superstock, and here's one of the best. John Klug with the Red Baron, a 4-turbocharger setup. International 3688 is the chassis. Excellent possibility for John to make a full pull, and he too now has gone on the left-hand side of the track where some of the other good runs ran from. Remember, a full pull is 300 feet. The driver has got to get an excellent hole shot, because if he slows down in the first 50 to 75 feet, he just doesn't have any chance of building momentum with the sled. He'll build the boost. Watch that smoke turn from gray to black. Now he's got a fire under the hood. John Klug makes a full pull, and the water is running out of that chassis. He's got a hot tractor out there. John, it was a really great run. It looked like you had some problems coming off the line. You didn't have a lot of momentum or a lot of speed, but you had plenty of power here in the end.
Oh, just the dirt is so loose and dry, you just can't get a hold of it.
All righty, you looked a little light on the front. Was that by design?
Well, every time you get on a loose, dry, crumbly track, you got to get the weight off the front and on the back so you can get traction.
Well, Max now has gone to the opposite side of the track. You'll notice now the drivers are moving back and forth along the track, trying to find the best spot that's been packed down. They don't want to go and pull in somebody else's track. Another slow start. Max having trouble coming off the line. Now he gains some speed. He comes towards the center. Max Simpson backs out of the throttle, far short of the finish line. And he pulled in almost the same identical spot that Dennis Brabeck did earlier in the class. The final tractor here in the 9,000-pound Superstock finals at the Copenhagen-Skoal Pulling Series at Atco will be Danny Dean's Rooster tractor out of South Charleston, Ohio. However, we've got a driver change today, and Brett Berg, who was our number 3 driver with the Never Enough tractor, is doing double duty today, and he will drive for Danny Dean, who is not here at today's show. So Brett Berg will try to equal what he did earlier today. We have 4 full pulls in the class. Here's the last chance to make it number 5 in the 9 Superstock finals. But not quite enough. So that means that 4 tractors will be in the pull-off here of the 9,000-pound Superstock finals when we come back to Atco Dragway in Atco, New Jersey.
When truck and tractor pulling all began, it was a fantasy. From the farm tractors to the multi-engine powerhouse, never has pulling been so competitive as on the Grand National level. Come to an NTPA Copenhagen-Skoal Pulling Circuit event and witness competition like you've never seen before. Joining us at an NTPA Grand National event guarantees you action-packed pulling with some of the biggest names in the sport. Look for the next NTPA sanctioned pull near you. As Power Pack Motorsports continues its coverage of pulling events, remember, your favorite shows are now available on VHS. Please include show requested.
In the Midwest, pullers like to pull on clay. However, when you go to various parts of the country, you don't find very good clay. Like out here in New Jersey, where the pullers are basically pulling on a sandy track. There's more sand than clay in the track. They don't get quite as good a bite, and they don't get the speed up as they come down the track. However, pullers have to be ready to pull on any type of track surface. Even on sand, we've got 4 in the pull-off. This is going to prove interesting. The drivers will have to use their noggin a little bit to try to beat the odds on the track. It's going to take some special driving by these 4 evenly matched tractors. The 4 in the pull-off include Brett Berg, who's hooked onto the sled right now, then Craig Peterson, Mark Gettinger, and John Klug. It'll be 1 Alice Chalmers, 2 Case IHs, and 1 Minneapolis Moline G1000. So a good even match of horsepower, but driver intuition will play a big part as they come down the track. How do they read that track? We find out as Brett Berg comes off the line. This is for all the money. Brett Berg pops and wheezes a couple times here at the end of his run. I don't think he did any damage to the engine. Some turbocharger problems maybe out there near the end of the run, but a very solid pull, and it's going to be a tough distance to beat here as this track now tears up a little bit. Well, here's truly one of the great success stories in super stock pulling. Craig Peterson, who, along with Lyle Hall, drive this Minneapolis Moline G1000 Vista. And if memory serves me right, this track was built somewhere in the early 1950s. The unique thing about it, it's approximately 800 cubic inches. The other unique thing, it's running on alcohol, so you won't see any black smoke come out of the stack when he leaves the line. This is a clean burning tractor, and he can turn the tires as fast as anybody in the class, probably faster. He's got to have some kind of tire speed around 120 mile per hour. He needs to beat 267.9. Brett Berg is in the lead. Here's tractor number 2 in our 9,000-pound super stock finals pull-off. Right by. Craig Peterson comes very close to making a 2 full poles here this afternoon at Atco. He is right on the finish line. He may end up being a foot or so short, but a tremendous run for Craig Peterson. He takes a commanding lead here this afternoon at the Copenhagen-Skoal Championship Pull. Here's Mark Gettinger from Milton, Indiana, tractor number 3 here in the 9 Superstock Finals pull-off. This big D21 has the power to do it. He's also a very confident driver. The equalizer on his way. The distance to beat 296.1. Very nice pull for Mark Gettinger. Excellent run. A lot of oil coming out on the track. Boy, he's got a lot of oil coming out now. The engine is still running, but there is a stream of oil coming out right now. Let's hope that doesn't spell disaster. Mark, a lot of oil down here on the track. What happened?
I'm not sure. I just now noticed I don't have any oil pressure, and she wouldn't even pour herself out of the hole here, and I think I wasted an engine.
Well, you're lucky maybe that you're down here at the end of the track rather than the starting line. It was a real good run.
Yeah, I think I would have got a little bit further. That engine started tightening up on me them last few feet, losing oil pressure or something. I don't know. I haven't had this happen before. That's a new problem. We'll see what she is and just hope she ain't too serious.
If you go on experience, then here's the man with the experience. John Klug started pulling stock farm tractors way back in the 1950s. So he's looking at upwards of 30 years of experience here as he backs to the sled at Atco Dragway. The Stockport, Iowa puller has to beat 296.1, and that is a long way down the track. Remember now, here in the pull-off, the sled is heavier than it was in the first round of competition. And the Red Baron has got a good chance to win. Craig Peterson in the lead at 296.1. And John Klug trying to chase him. And Klug is dropping a lot of oil out of the track. We can see oil coming. Oh, he's got oil all over him. There's oil all over the engine. John, oil all over the place. What do you think happened?
Oh, it's hard to tell. Broke a piston. We just don't know.
The last two tractors, you along with the Gettinger tractor, the Equalizer, dropped a lot of oil. They felt they had internal combustion problems. Do you feel with the soft track conditions here that have put an extra strain and RPMs on the engine?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know, anytime you sit there and scream an engine like that, you just, you know, they just weren't, they got to get a hold, you got to be able to load them or something, so.
Craig Peterson in a tractor with nearly 800 cubic inches running on alcohol made superior runs over some of the biggest names in the business, and he wins it here at Atco Dragway at the NTPA Grand Nationals. We started out with 10, then we ended up with 4 in the pull-off, and when it was all said and done, the yellow Minneapolis Moline G1000 out of Wisconsin was the winner. And Craig Peterson, you had a tremendous run the first time, and then you came back and went 297 and 1 in the pull-off. That had to be one of the biggest wins of your career.
You betcha. It's been a long time. You know, we've had a long dry spell, and we've just worked all winter long, literally all winter long. We worked on the fuel system. The engine was pretty sound, but the fuel system was a problem. We've got that ironed out. We got a little more air, a little bigger chargers this year than we had last year. And to get it working this quick, you better believe I'm happy.
No question about it. You beat some of the biggest names of the business.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to do.
Now, the track with the sandy conditions really didn't affect the drivers here today. They seem to be able to work around the conditions.
Well, yeah, to a point. I mean, we didn't use full power today. I could tell by the way the tractor ran, it didn't burn all the fuel that was there. But still, you know, you adjust your weights accordingly, and, you know, you live with the situation.
Well, you lived with the situation in fine fashion. Congratulations on a big win here at Atco Dragway at the NTPA Grand National Championship Pull.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Craig Peterson in a tractor with nearly 800 cubic inches running on alcohol made superior runs over some of the biggest names in the business, and he wins it here at Atco Dragway at the NTPA Grand Nationals. I'm Dave Grimm. So long, everyone.